Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, super intelligent, wonderful Disney Plus loving wife and co-host, Michelle.
Thank you, sweetie. Hi, everybody. You're so sweet.
You're the sweet one. We do all love Disney Plus very much, and that's going to play very much into today's episode, which is exciting.
It is?
Yeah. I hope you have the notes.
I have lists, but I hope it's the right list.
We'll see. Wait, did you say lists?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We'll get to that in a moment here. Thank you for joining us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
you can sign up for our newsletter.
Yes, please sign up for our newsletter. We have lots of stuff going out there for you every single week, yet we don't clog up your inbox. It's just one newsletter sent out virtually every week, usually on Tuesdays. Once in a while on a Wednesday, but usually on a Tuesday. It's just kind of a way to stay more in touch with what we got going on.
Right. We just love to share some things with you and let you be in the know ahead of time. And we don't do anything else with that email address.
We do not.
We don't share it or anything.
Nope. But we do like to share with you on social media, where you like to be active on social media. You can find us on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We do have a YouTube channel. Hopefully you're watching some of these videos of these episodes on YouTube, because we put a lot of extra content out there and just have a good time. And it's kind of, I think sometimes it's just fun to see people talking rather than just listen to people talking.
Right. Hopefully.
It is for her. I don't know about my case. Although it is, the hair continues to grow. You can keep judging it week in and week out and see how far it gets. Yeah. I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep this thing, but it's still growing for right now. So if you want to find us on YouTube, just do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. It'll come right up. Hit subscribe and you'll know whenever we have a new video. If you ever want to connect with us for any reason, you can always hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we love hearing from you. We love people who share responses to some of the things that we do put out in the newsletter. And if you ever have questions, as I mentioned in the past, just let us know. If there's something we've talked about that we either haven't covered significantly, or you just happen to have a question, or you want us to cover something.
Yeah.
We always like to have some topic to go in depth in research.
Especially she does.
Love the research.
Me with the research, not so much. But Michelle with the research, she's great at it, as you probably already know. By the way, we are recording this episode on Saturday, November 7th. Saturday, November 7th, 2020. Normally we record on Sunday, so why are we recording on Saturday?
I don't know. Why? Why?
Well, to start off with, tomorrow on Sunday, November 8th, we're going to be recording a fun episode with the Monday Morning Monorail family on their show. And that's going to drop on Monday on the 9th of November. We're going to be talking all about Disney Cruise with them. So that's exciting. We always kind of feel with the monorails that usually our episodes drop somewhere on Sunday afternoon. Theirs drop Monday morning. We kind of feel it's like the 1-2 punch of Disney podcasts starting your week every week. And that will be especially true this week with us being on their show.
Yeah, we're so honored to be able to be invited to participate in their show again. They're wonderful. We have a great time and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the other reason why we're recording today, well, it just felt like a really good day to record today. For some reason, it just feels like a really good day.
It does. Happiness.
So, yes, it's just a very good day. Also, it's a very good day because we're recording tonight with Pat and Charles on the Conversations podcast. That show's dropping sometime later within the next few weeks. Don't know exactly when, but we're recording a fun little episode with them that we always have a great time with Pat and Charles as well.
I know. Tons of laughs. They also put out a wonderful podcast. And they're really fun people to be with, and so I'm looking forward to it tremendously.
Yeah, so it is a really, really great day. It's just a great day. That's all I can say. It's a really, really great day. So as far as other stuff we have going on for you, we are closing out another category in our Hyperion Adventures Disney Hall of Fame nominations. So hopefully you got your nominations into us by now. We have one more category to go before we go to our final ballot. And by the way, we're going to give a little break in between the last nominations and the final ballot because some of you may be a little bit of ballot out at this point,
right.
but we're just going to go ahead and move on. For today's category, it was Best Animated Character. Now that could be from Pixar, that can be from Disney, whatever you prefer. And we do have our list of finalists first, but we're going to give you our list of our 5-ish favorites as well. So Michelle, we always start with Michelle. She has the very best list along with her best research, best tips, everything else. But let's get to Michelle's list of her favorite or best animated characters.
I did stick with 5 this time, because there might be another
You've done
list.
really well. Actually, I'm the one who cheats a lot with this. You're the one who actually tends to stay with the 5 on this one. So
I can neither confirm nor deny that one of my other lists for today might have an extra.
I still don't like that you have lists for today, but we'll continue on. Yes.
Okay, so Tiana from Princess and the Frog.
Course, yeah,
and
wonderful.
this is no particular order. Barley.
From Onward.
Right, Barley
Yeah.
Lightfoot.
Uh-huh.
And of course, my girl Candace. Yeah.
Candace may come up today in another part of our show. Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait. Max, Goofy's son. It's one of the underrated that we don't talk about a lot, but I know that he's really popular, and especially when he shows up, whether it be in a park or on the cruise line. People just really love Max, and so do I.
Yeah, and Goofy is already in our Hyperion Adventures Disney Hall of Fame. He was grandfathered in last year as our inaugural class.
Right.
Wouldn't it be great to get Max in there so they could be doing the eye-to-eye dance there together in our Hyperion Adventures Disney Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
So, perfect.
And the 5th one they put on the list was Hector from Coco.
Oh, I love Hector.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great choice.
Thank you.
Very nice. So
It's hard to narrow.
Michelle's list, always the best list.
Wow.
I didn't completely narrow mine. Mine is a couple more than 5.
Okay, let's hear them.
So, in no particular order, Moana, I think is a strong Disney princess, and wonderful and just fun. I love Moana very much, and mostly the music of Moana,
right?
Because there's somebody who's written the music of Moana. Very good. Baymax, Baymax is right behind us. If you're watching this on YouTube, Baymax had to make it in for me. Hashtag real men do love Frozen.
I knew there would be a Frozen character.
How about Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, Olaf, Sven? They all made it into my nominations. Maybe there's just one they just kind of blurred together to make it in, right?
It's a blur, sir.
Yeah. And Rapunzel, also hashtag real men love Tangled, in my opinion. And Wally. I love Wally to death. Wally needed to
That's a good one.
on my list.
Well, they're all good. But
thank you. So here are our finalists. These will all be on our final ballot when it comes out here in a few weeks. We'll start with, and these are in alphabetical order. Baymax did make the list. Buzz Lightyear from, of course, the Toy Story franchise is going in. Elsa is up for the nomination. Moana did make it, yes. Olaf, of course. Everybody loves Olaf.
I'm seeing a little pattern here. Judge having some discretions here.
Maybe. Pumbaa is on the list. Yeah. Rapunzel did make it. Remy from Ratatouille.
Oh, cool.
Yes, he's out there. Stitch is a fan favorite for sure. He's there. Sven did make the final ballot. Tiana did make it. Yay, Tiana. Timon, of course. You can't have Pumbaa if you don't have Timon on there. Tinkerbell made it in.
Wow.
Yeah, Tinkerbell.
Can't believe I didn't think of her on.
Yeah, well, you are Tinkerbell. So. Wally did make it. And finally, another one that I'm surprised Michelle didn't think of, Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh is on our final ballot. So that'll be coming up later this month. And we have a new category, a new classic category, the final category that we'll have coming up. Wow, we've been doing these for months now. So it'll be good to kind of wrap that part up and get to finally our final ballot. And we're still putting together our little prize package we're going to give to somebody who ends up voting on that final ballot. And we'll let you know more about.
I found something this week to add to that.
Ooh, that's exciting. So we'll tell you all about that as we get closer to that final ballot. So as for this week, lots of stuff for you. Well, some stuff for you. Actually, it's been a slow week. I wonder if there's been something else going on that has kind of taken up the headlines this week. But I do have something for you outside of our main topic, and that is we now know when you'll have your chance to do a little holiday shopping at Disney California Adventure Park. So that's exciting. We'll talk all about that. But let's get to our main topic of the week. So yeah, if you didn't know, Disney Plus is turning 1 year old this week in just a few days. November 12th, I believe, is the date.
I think that's right.
Yeah, so in just a few days, we will be celebrating 1 full year of Disney Plus. And so we kind of wanted to go over some of the stuff that is the great things we've watched over the last year of Disney Plus, and look ahead at what's to come. And what a great thing. I mean, we knew Disney Plus going in when we first heard about that it was coming, and we heard more about it. And as we progressed to it, the D23 Expo 2019, saw a bunch of stuff on it and everything. We knew that it was going to be great, but I mean, we had no idea what was coming this year.
Right.
And thank goodness for Disney Plus this year, right, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh man, of all years to really need something that had a lot of content.
Yeah, and we honestly, I mean, we watch some stuff on Netflix. We have sometimes on Prime Video. We watch some stuff on there, and a few other services as well, and regular TV, of course. But continuously, what our go-to most nights, or whenever we're watching, is Disney Plus.
Yes.
We go there first and find stuff that we want to watch. And there's so many great shows, so many great movies, so many great moments that have happened this year.
Yeah. So you don't have a list. You don't have 2 lists? Did I not hear directions correctly, or was I not paying attention to you?
I have a list.
I have 2.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that goes. So here's what, like I said, what we're going to do today is we're going to look back at the year that was and list. This is the one I know of. We're going to list our 5 favorite Disney originals that came out this year that we enjoyed. So we're going to have that one. And then we're going to look forward at, we also have some listener input, by the way. Thank you for everybody who chimed in. And then we're going to look forward at what's to come in year 2, kind of what we're looking forward to.
Isn't that a list?
Apparently that's a list for Michelle.
Top 5?
Okay. I have some things listed, but I don't have an official list. So we'll just kind of go through that and we'll see how that goes. But maybe Michelle can lead us through that since she actually has a top 5 list. So that's kind of cool. So, but this will be a lot of fun. Now, when we decided to do these 5 favorite lists of originals that came out during the year, I thought it probably best if we went ahead and excluded The Mandalorian from the list. Not because it's bad, no, and just the opposite. Because it's amazing, it's wonderful, we love it so very much that we know it would be on the top of both of our lists. You know,
given.
Yeah, and so that frees. Even though I know we cheat a lot and add extra shows, that frees up an extra spot on our list. But just know The Mandalorian is. I don't know if you think this, but I think it's the best thing that's been on Disney Plus last year.
Yeah, I think it really hits a lot of different things with the genre that it has. And, we could go on and on about it. But, yeah, I think it's such a strong show.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, even, that people I work with or whatever that I talk to, and even people who are not necessarily Star Wars fans, really love this show as well. And I hear a lot of people like, yeah, if it wasn't for The Mandalorian, I might drop Disney Plus. So I do think it really is something that is substantial for that platform of Disney Plus.
Agreed. It's huge and everybody loves it. I haven't heard anybody. There are some people that will complain about certain aspects of certain episodes or certain aspects of the show or certain episodes that they don't like quite as much, or they find they're a little meh,
or if they
whatever.
Kill off any more lovable people.
We won't get into
characters.
But But I haven't heard most people just love it and think it's great. You know, like I said, does it have some speed bumps occasionally? In some people's opinion, I haven't found that, but there are some people that kind of feel that way. And that's understandable. But we just think it's great. And one of the best things, not only on Disney Plus, but on television right now. It's fantastic. I also included in the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, just because it would have been right up there because it's amazing. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. It gives you a whole another look within The Mandalorian and so much in-depth as far as the technology, the casting, the directing, the lore, Star Wars Easter eggs that are in there. It's just a wonderful, wonderful peek inside The Mandalorian.
Right. It really helps you enjoy the Mandalorian show even better because there might be some things that you just didn't realize that the directors had incorporated. Like you said, some Easter eggs. You might have missed some, although I think they do try to be quite obvious and point things out actually in some regards. But yeah, it just helps you appreciate the show that much more. And you can go back and watch it again and like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And I see how important that is.
Well, there's a lot of things that pop up throughout Star Wars that if you've watched, everything that's Star Wars, you probably recognize. But as you were just discussing, there's plenty of people who are watching The Mandalorian that weren't necessarily Star Wars fans.
Right.
So, this gives you, it opens up some things. And then when you see it again, when you rewatch these seasons, that you're like, oh, so that's what that refers to or whatever. And you might get an extra kick out of it.
Right,
so, one other thing I decided that we're going to keep off of this is Hamilton. Because again, that would have been right up there at the top of our list.
Yeah, that would have been our top 3 right there for both of our lists.
Right. So that pretty much, limits what we could do. We love Hamilton very much. It was a Broadway show long before it came to Disney Plus and was originally supposed to be in theaters. We are thankful that Disney Plus was there to be able to allow us, especially during this time of year or this what's going on in our world, to watch it. We've watched it over and over again. It still doesn't get old for us.
Right.
And we're glad it's there, but we just decided, okay, let's keep it off the list. Because again, like you said, Michelle, it's just going to dominate our list, all 3 of those things.
Right, exactly.
So let's actually get to the real list here. And we, as always, with any of our lists, we always start with Michelle. One, because she's wonderful, gorgeous, spectacular, so smart, just so lovable. But she also has the very best list. So let's get to Michelle's number 5 favorite thing from year 1 of Disney Plus.
All right. You're very kind. And I suspect we're going to probably have some things that are similar.
I can't imagine them
on our list.
Actually, yeah.
But my number 5, and I say that because I think this one might be on your list, is Into the Unknown, the making of Frozen 2. It really was intriguing to see, and I guess the best word I can think of is vulnerable, that story was and how it came together. And it just amazed me because it's like, if asked ahead of time, like, how did this roll out? That's not at all the process. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. If you haven't seen it, it really is interesting to see a large company with a major production going underway, such as that, sequel movie. And like you're talking about with Mandalorian, some speed bumps or some issues and some conflicts, etc., and missing pieces. It just was like phenomenal to see that happen that way.
Agreed. And this is the rare time we're going to match up. That's my number 5 as well.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. Like you said, just a great glimpse into how these films are created. It's not, you kind of feel like, oh yeah, we have this great music. It's going to go, it's going to, we just have to get them to record it, do the animation. It's great. We know what we're doing. No, there were some creativity, some stresses right down to the very last few months of making this film, even down to we were at, and part of it is a glimpse at it at the D23 Expo 2019, which was in August. And this film came out in November of 2019, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on that. So just a couple months. And they still said, we're not done. Right. We have a lot that we still need to do. So, that they just had a couple months to go there. So,
exactly.
I mean, it was just a really cool glimpse into what goes into creating, a film that actually ended up becoming a mega blockbuster and one of my favorite films, one of your favorite films. So great. And it's also where I made my Disney Plus debut.
That's true. You are on Disney Plus.
I am. I'm on Disney Plus. One of the more reasons I love Disney Plus. Well, really, it's my back and like my shoulder, back of my head, like an elbow, I think.
Definitely caught you.
If you look at Michelle actually pinpointed it. She's like, that's you. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Blocking me, leaning like forward, almost. No, it wasn't intentional.
Yeah. What probably happened, we discussed this afterwards, is that Michelle probably had the seat where I was.
That's true.
And because Michelle is vertically challenged, sometimes we end up swapping seats, sometimes multiple times, depending on who's sitting in front of her or what her view is of the stage. And what probably happened there, because it happens all the time, is that she probably moved over. And so I ended up getting my back of my head and my shoulder in this. But if you look at the YouTube video, I will put up the piece of it where you can encircle where you can find it, because it's not like it's easy to see. Like I said, Michelle pinpointed, I didn't see it at all. And then we stopped and looked, and there it was. So, but anyway, yes, but this is all about hashtag Real Men Love Frozen too. And it's it's so great to see.
Real Men Love Frozen 2 or Real Men Love Frozen 2?
Yes.
Also.
Yes. And 2. We do love both. It's just a great glimpse into it. And if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's really, really strong. And obviously Michelle recommends it as well. So that's both of our number 5s. Hell, that's crazy to think about.
I know. It might be a first.
I think it's first is number 5s. I think we've matched up some other numbers, but I think it's the first time we've ever matched up a number 5.
Right from the get-go. Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's get to number 4. Michelle's number 4 favorite Disney Plus movie, show, or moment from year 1.
Okay, this one surprised me that it was going to be something that I would watch, more than the first episode. But Earth to Ned.
Yeah.
I just, when we didn't watch it for the longest time, and it was almost more like, all right, let's try to give, what's this? I've heard some people really, tweet out that they liked it, et cetera. And it was a gem to find.
Yeah, I agree. Like everybody else, we were just at home. We're looking for things to watch. Let's face it. And we're like, okay, well, what's this? It's from Jim Henson's. It's a Henson Company. It's Jim Henson's son. It's basically done by the Muppets. So we're like, well, let's give it a shot and see what it's like. We'll watch one episode. If we like it, great. If we don't, we'll just move along.
Right.
And we fell in love with it right away. It was great.
Yeah. I mean, the first episode was cute, but then they just kept getting better, and they really got into a groove. And, it is if you haven't seen it, it's a comical kind of farce on talk shows. You have Ned, who's an alien, and I guess a lot of them are alien cast. Right. But they do bring in humans to interview, and they brought in some really great, interesting people, and it was unique and funny, and it was, I think, a great way to portray something like that.
Right. It's a little, late night talk show.
Right.
It's a little Muppets. It's a little Mork and Mindy, to date myself.
Yes.
There's some little Mork and Mindy aspects into it. If you watched it, you may know what I'm talking about there. But just an enjoyable show and full of laughs, and it's just kind of fun.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd give it if you haven't seen it, just check it out. You may not love it as much, but you might like it. And, it's something that, it has some comedy and references that adults would appreciate, but it has the look and feel of the Muppets in some regards that kids would like it as well. So. Right.
It's a good choice. It didn't make my list. It made it in my honorable mentions, though, for sure.
Okay.
But very good choice.
Thank you.
I like that show.
So your number 4.
My number 4 is The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom, which we're still in the midst of. We're still watching. We're only, 5-6 episodes in now, whatever it is. But I've really enjoyed that show very much. I mean, one, it's got Josh Gad narrating, and who doesn't love Josh Gad?
Right.
Hashtag Real Men Love Frozen. But also, it's just this great peek backstage at all these animals from the Animal Kingdom and from the Seas with Nemo and Friends from Epcot, and just how these cast members take care of them, and and how much many of them really seem to love fall in love. They become family members in so many regards, and it's just so really cool to watch that happen. How all this unfolds, get to know these animals, get to know many of these cast members in at least a little bit of a way, and it just we've mentioned it many times. We are we have no problem with Disney's Animal Kingdom, but it's not our favorite park. We enjoy it. We go when we have multiple days there usually, and we love Kilimanjaro safaris, everything. But because of the fact that we live in San Diego and we have great zoos down here in a similar place in the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, we get animals around here in a really strong way. So, maybe we don't appreciate Disney's Animal Kingdom as much as others do.
Right.
But, this, knowing that now you can pinpoint animals and say, oh, that's so-and-so, or that's possibly some of the cast members, it brings it more to life for us. And, it'll make it that much more joyous the next time we visit.
That's very good. All great points. It also made my list actually much higher.
Ooh.
It actually was number 2 on my list. Yeah. And maybe because one, it's very fresh in my mind because it's something that, is newer in the realm of Disney originals. And how much, for me, I love edutainment anyways. So, a show that is entertaining, but provides you some real insights to things, and always personally intrigued with backstage Disney anyways. But it is funny that we're seeing some of the caretakers over and over, and you kind of start to feel like them a little bit, or that you would probably recognize them if you saw them in the parks and things like that. So yeah, I think it's great quality production of the information that they give, and it's so lovely.
Yeah. I'm also tremendously impressed every time we see one of the veterinarians come out there, Dr. Dan.
Yes.
They're just, the fact that they can treat all these animals, they're so different.
Right.
It's always amazing to me. It's one thing, to be a veterinarian in any neighborhood, yes, you have to know a lot of different animals, but I mean, there are so many different animals that you got to know, including the sea animals, out there, that it's always impressive to see them work on these various different types, these various different species, essentially. So cool. So that's my number 4. Michelle, what is your number 3 favorite thing of year 1 from Disney Plus?
All right. So here's where I had a challenge. Couldn't separate these two in terms of being number 3. So I did put a 3A and 3B this time, because it's like, okay, which one should go higher? And I really couldn't figure it out. And so 3A is The Imagineering Story.
Ah, yeah.
That really has some intriguing information. It really is good. It really, again, helps. It gives you information that can help you appreciate some of the things that you see in the parks or some of the other experiences that the company provides. And it's just intriguing, and some of the history and the whys of things. So to me, I found it riveting.
Yeah, agreed. And this is my number 2, actually.
Oh, okay.
Is The Imagineering Story. Totally enjoyed the journey, the history of Disney and the Disney parks and Disney in general. And of course, even Disney Cruise Line. They go and discuss a little bit about the development of Disney Cruise Line as well. Loved all the stories about our favorite parks, favorite attractions. And it was interesting to see that there's some drama in this as far as some of the struggles that these Imagineers had to go through, for various different reasons, whether it be budget constraints, trying to do things with attractions that maybe they couldn't accomplish right away.
Right.
How to develop things that they want, and when it's just an idea, how to make it into something that is functional, that the guests would really enjoy, and just a fascinating peek into that. And I hope that they eventually can expand it. I don't know if they can, but I would love to see eventually at some point a second season of the Imagineering Story to see more about what's going on, because I think there's so much. Even they delved into a lot in season 1. I think there's plenty more to be looked at.
Right. Well, a couple things on that. First of all, that it was great. I think Marty Sklar was one of the originators to the concept of, hey, we need to capture the history of this organization, before too long, because the people who could really be involved firsthand knowledge would no longer be around. So that was, I thought, awesome that he had that insight to really, push this project through, and that it ended up being even broader than what they originally planned for. So that was awesome. When we were on our Panama Canal cruise, they were doing filming. So I do think they were planning to do something more related to the Disney cruise industry as well. So, your wish may be granted down the road, because it did seem like they were trying to capture some of that. Now, I don't know with the pandemic if some plans that they were going to do for the future would also have been put on hold. But
I actually think that it'd be fascinating to see, because there's been a lot of interesting things that have gone on over the last year, and the discussions of what continues to be constructed, what do we put a pause in, what do we just, say we're not going to do anything on it right now because of the situation that we're in, that Disney's in.
Right.
And so I think it would be a really fascinating behind the scenes eventually at some point, once we get clear of this, to look and see back at what the struggles Disney had.
Sure. So anyways, and then my 3B is Star Wars Clone Wars, the final season.
You stole my number one.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm about to steal your number one too, so it's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, it obviously, we've loved watching the Clone Wars. Anyways, the final season though, I think they bumped up their,
especially at the end, the last 3-4 episodes just ramped it up completely.
Yeah, riveting. At the edge of your seat, watching what's going to happen, and the emotions that you, at least for me, I just really got into it. Like I was like feeling what they were going through.
It brought me to tears many times.
Right.
Well, not that surprised anybody, but many times.
Right. So, it was really, really, I thought, so well done. And I felt like, I don't know if it was just because it was going to be the final season, or if it was because it was going to be a Disney Plus original, but it really seemed like they put so much attention into it and put a lot of thought to make this even skyrocket above some of the other episodes that they had.
Yeah. When they announced it back at Comic-Con, and I want to say it was back in 2018, because it was when we had already started the show at that point. So they announced it at Comic-Con. I was in tears when they announced it, because I love the Clone Wars so very much. I think it's wonderful Disney storytelling. It brings the prequels so much more. It brings so much more depth to the prequels.
Sure.
You respect them more because it brings more depth to many of the characters. If you want to hear myself talk about it, and especially Rob LeBerry talk about it. We do it just about every episode on the Jedi Temple Archives podcast, because we love the Clone Wars that much.
Right.
And then for season 7 to come around, be announced, and then come around, and you could tell Filoni just laid it out on the table. He wanted to tell the story. It just had so many fantastic episodes and so many great character moments. You look at, and this is going to be some spoilers for it if you haven't watched it yet, so you may want to bump this ahead by a minute or so. But the Ahsoka Tano and Maul duel was one of the best lightsaber duels in any Star Wars movie, animated series, anything, anywhere, anytime.
Right. Just the relationship that they, enemies, frenemies, having to kind of decide where are they going to help each other for each other's benefit, and the challenges with that, and where do you trust the other person. And it was, like I said, that to me was so amazing to see.
Yep. Battle of Light and Dark, completely Star Wars in so many regards in that. Order 66 from a different point of view was fascinating, and, it ramps up, and it's so good at the finish. And I'm sorry to see it go, unfortunately, but looks like we may have some more stories yet to come from some of the characters that are involved with that. Hoping rumors are out there, but it was just so well done. And we've said, speaking of the Mandalorian, Filoni is telling some of the best stories in Star Wars right now. Him along with Jon Favreau, of course. And that was part of it as well. And I'm actually looking back to go and watching the Clone Wars entirety again. I know Frank Cardillo was just talking about he'd finally watched Rebels all the way through, finished that. It's another one we started again just before Mandalorian started up that we're looking forward to watching again, because both those animated series, if you've just watched the Star Wars movies and you're a Star Wars fan, go check out the animated series, because they're all so very good. So
wouldn't it be fun to binge watch everything Star Wars, like all the different things in order, so to include the prequels, like you talked about Rebels, Resistance.
I'm in.
Yeah.
We're going to watch them anyway, so
just,
I might as well put them
really see from kind of what's out there already, start to finish.
Right.
And you throw in, obviously like Rogue One, Solo story, Mandalorian. I mean,
yeah.
And it continues.
And it continues. So much great stuff
way.
out there. Yep. And we have more stuff coming, which we'll talk about later on as we look forward to what's happening with Disney Plus as well. So that was your number 3A and 3B and my number 1. So let's get to my number 3. And this is where I steal Michelle's number 1. My number 3 is Phineas and Ferb, the movie, Candace Against the Universe. Got you back.
I know. Good deal.
I'm sure Michelle had more to say about this as well, but it just was a fantastic to revisit all those characters that we love so very much. Story was great. The music, as we expect from Phineas and Ferb, was outstanding. It was just so well done. Also, we found out this week that it was the second highest streamed film on Disney Plus of the year and the 5th highest streamed movie on all streaming service to this point of the year. How about that for Phineas and Ferb? This movie. That's pretty incredible. So that's what I'll say about it. I'm sure Michelle has a lot more to say about it because she loves Phineas and Ferb even more than I do.
Well, obviously there's a lot of reasons, to place this on the list. And one of the things when you're looking to see a movie that's being made, especially with animated characters years after, the last episode, you wonder, is it going to have the same feel? Is it going to, just look and sound really different? Love the other original. So is this going to be a little bit of a disappointment? And they did not miss a beat. Aside from having Ferb, the original Ferb, who spoke very little anyways, they did have the original cast. Like you said, the music, the comedy, everything really just felt very fluid from the original series and the original movies, and it just felt like it just was the very next day kind of thing. Right. And that's just in that part of it. And then, it's a great story, a different perspective from what they had before, where now, the brothers are having to rescue Candace, and just so much heart to it, so much, thought of how does a family interact and the quirkiness of any family. And it just really, it expounded on the love and the joy, but that it's sometimes hard to see those things at first and how it comes to you. And it was a movie that brought tears to my eyes, even rewatching it, and it just really hit on all bases of what makes a movie great. Yeah,
it made us smile. We sung, we laughed, we cried, definitely. It's a great movie. If you haven't watched it, go check out Phineas and Ferb. I think you could watch it without watching Phineas and Ferb, but I do think knowing a little bit about the characters, because you kind of need to know them a little bit.
It builds on some of that.
Definitely check it out. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's Michelle's number 1, my number 3. We've already gone through my number 2 and my number 1 and Michelle's number
2. Yeah, my number 2 was The Magic of the Disney's Animal Kingdom.
So we're completed.
We're done.
We're done.
Done. But we finished on Phineas and Ferb. Yay!
We're out. So in a way, we did get your number 1. So that's good. So that's great. Yeah. No, I kind of figured we would tie in on a lot of these shows, because we watch most of these things together.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Exactly.
So of course we're going to like a lot of the same stuff. So we did get some input from some listeners on the stuff that they've liked the most in year 1.
Want to hear some of those and some honorable mentions too.
Yeah. So let's go through them first and see if they take off some of the honorable mentions.
Yes.
So we don't have to name them. So I'm going to start with somebody who subscribes to the newsletter, and that is Scott in Minnesota. He sent us an email, and he often chimes in on our topics. He said, "Hey, Tom and Michelle, can you believe Disney Plus has only been around for a year?" I know. Well, this year has been a little longer year than most normal years.
Exactly.
He says, "So much great content. My top 5 favorite shows on Disney Plus are 5A, The Mandalorian.
Yes.
5B, The Mandalorian. I love how he does a 5A and 5B because
Right.
Hyperion Adventures podcast.
Right.
4, The Mandalorian. 3, The Mandalorian. 2, The Mandalorian. 1, The Mandalorian.
I love that list. That's awesome.
Yeah, but seriously, he said having so much Star Wars content in one place is awesome. When Disney Plus first launched with all the classic content, I had to watch Tron, which we've watched as
Right.
well. The Black Hole, which I don't know if you've watched.
No.
It's so funny and it's weird. I mean, I remember watching it as a kid and it was okay with it, but you
Right.
look back and you're like, ooh.
They were trying
They were
something.
trying something, that's for sure. I hadn't seen them in decades. He goes on to say, I hadn't seen them in decades. My wife was excited to show our daughter Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And I know
Nice.
you've
Yep,
watched
yep.
that several times. Then we got into some of the documentaries. The Imagineering story is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised at how fascinating Jeff Goldblum's show is.
Mm-hmm.
And Brain Games is also really interesting, but I haven't been able to make it through 8 seasons of it. And who doesn't love the making of Frozen 2? Hashtag real mind love Frozen, right, Tom? Really, I could list the entire catalog as my favorite, but I think I'll cut it off here. Love your program, don't you know? Scott in Minnesota. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Great list.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Another person who subscribes to the newsletter hit us up on Facebook, Doug Stevenson. He said Imagineering is, of course, number one in the Imagineering story. High School Musical, the series was surprisingly good for season 1. That was in my honorable mentions.
I was surprised it didn't make it on your list.
Nearly made my list. And The Mandalorian. So, yes, Doug, thank you very much. Tony the Disney Dad chimed in on Twitter. You can find him at Disney underscore, easy for me to say, discuss. No, easy for me to say is not part of it. It's just at Disney underscore discuss.
Try it again. Take 2.
It's good enough. He says, my favorite moment from the past year at Disney Plus is getting a job and working for them. Yes,
Oh,
Tony,
wow, that's
again,
true.
we
Yes.
congratulated before, but congratulations. Hope that job is doing everything. And I know it's been a dream of yours to work with Disney. I'm sure Disney
Yes.
Plus is fantastic. And unfortunately, is why he's not doing the Disney Discussions podcast
Right.
anymore with his sons, Sparrow and Stitch. And I still hold out small amount of hope that someday
I
that will
know.
return. But either way, we're so happy that you have your dream job.
Yes.
It's so cool. He goes on to say, obviously, The Mandalorian and the Imagineering story were amazing. I love the making of docu-series for Mando and Frozen 2. The whole family loved watching Be Our Chef and The Big Fib together. So,
cool.
yeah, we haven't checked those out, but that sounds cool. Finally, one more from a subscriber to the newsletter. So a lot of newsletter input this
Yay.
week. This time, I think this is the first time this person has actually chimed in on this, and they sent us an email. This is from Sarah Grace Kaiser.
Right.
She said, hi, Tom and Michelle. My favorite show to watch on Disney Plus currently would have to be The Mandalorian
Yeah.
and the High School Musical series. High School Musical, the series.
Right.
Yes. She asked, what are our favorites? Well, we already told you
Yeah.
so, Sarah. I hope you know. She said, let me know. And she said, you guys are so entertaining to listen to. Thank you, Sarah. That's really kind of you.
Yes.
Thank you for making an amazing show week after week. And she also goes on to say, how is your son Scott doing?
Right.
Well, he's doing great. He's
Yes.
enjoying watching many of these shows we've talked about
Exactly.
with us and just enjoying our time together. So,
Right. Yeah. He's been happy to be home with us. So.
yeah. And if there's something on Disney Plus that he's really fallen in love with, well, he fell in love with it before it came on Disney Plus, but since it hit Disney Plus, Hamilton, he is a huge Hamilton fan now. Like we put that on and he'll be dancing around in our living room, which I posted some videos, in social media before of him of doing it.
It's
So
impressive and fun to watch.
so cool. So thank you, Sarah. She says, she went on to say, your friend, Sarah Grace Kaiser from Alabama. So
Nice.
yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, I saw that email and that was so sweet.
yeah, thank you, Sarah. That's really nice for your time. And we hope you give us more input in the future. I really
Right.
appreciate it. So let's get on to a few honorable mentions. Do you have a few left that haven't been gone over yet?
Some of them have been mentioned. The other ones that I had as honorable mentions was Howard.
I have that,
documentary.
yeah.
And
The story of Howard Ashman. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that out.
right, it's really great. And Forky asks a question.
Yep, that was on my list too.
So,
And
but-
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to say. Those were the ones other than what other people have mentioned.
Right.
So,
Right.
what about you?
The ones that have already been mentioned. Encore hasn't been mentioned yet. I loved Encore. I think that's a really interesting, look into some people getting back together. And I love musical theater. And so it's kind of, I think it's kind of funny to watch, musical theater groups that back in high school getting back together and redoing some of these, shows some 10, 20 years later, it's really fun. The Right Stuff, which we've been watching recently, I've really been enjoying that as well. And I think that's it. Everything else we've named High School Musical, the musical, the series, which Michelle has only watched the first episode of, and I keep trying to convince her to watch more of it. You guys, hit her up. Let her know. She's got to watch it because it's great. And I'm looking forward to watching it again. I'm looking forward to season 2 when that comes out. So speaking of that, let's look forward to season 2.
All right.
So I guess Michelle has a list here. So let's start this off of Michelle's list. I just have a list of things that are coming up. But Michelle apparently broke down some. Did you do it as a 5 favorites?
Yeah, I did a 5 favorites of what I'm looking forward to, and I really narrowed it down to things that are pretty sure that they actually have a date set, or it will be. It's been pretty definite that it's going to be early 2021.
Cool. So let's go through her list, and then I'll add on anything that I may have randomly here if we need be. But we're looking forward to. I think season 2 is going to be fantastic as well for Disney Plus. So let's go.
Okay. So the one that my number 5 is The Real Right Stuff, which is coming out on November 20th, and that's going to include some actual footage and audio. Historical audio and footage that happened. So that's why they're dubbing it The Real Right Stuff. They're actually including some things that have never been shown before. And the thing that, the cherry on top of this is the soundtrack is by Hans Zimmer.
Oh, very good.
So
that's some of our favorite soundtracks.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
Exactly. So it sounds like it's going to have a lot of very interesting things. It seems like some of the footage that hasn't been shared before, or audio that hasn't been shared before also are some of the, near misses kind of events that took place that they didn't want to really, I guess, highlight. And so it's going to be intriguing, I think, to kind of hear some of that.
Yeah, and I'm all about the space I love all the shows about the space program. I've been that way since I was a kid.
Right.
Still will watch all these documentaries and, series talking about the space program. Love them all.
Definitely.
So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
All right. Number 4 is Soul, which is coming out on Christmas.
Yes.
From the moment we saw it introduced at D23 at the Expo, and trailers that we've seen now, it looks like it's going to be another great hit.
It's getting great reviews too from the people who have already seen it at some of the film festivals that they've already shown it at. So that's great.
Right. And number 3 that is projected to come out in spring of 2021 is Loki.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Haven't heard much about it as far as the filming and everything yet, but I think this is very much going to be the year of Marvel. And get a little bit more into this. Last year was a lot of different stuff, and of course the year of the Mandalorian, and continuing into this second season of it. But I think that there's going to be a ton of Marvel interesting stuff that's going to come out over year 2 of Disney Plus.
Right. And like you said, like even different, like whether it's new animated things that are coming up. I mean, I know some have already come out, but yeah, I agree. And kind of that leads into my number 2 looking forward to is WandaVision.
Yeah,
hello.
That's coming out. Gosh, it could be any week now. They haven't announced a specific date, but we know it was on the the promo for what's coming up this year.
Right.
So it's got to be somewhere in the next month and a half, right?
Yes.
So looking forward to finding out when that comes out for sure.
Exactly. And my number 1 looking forward to the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. Yay! November 17th coming out. And that looks so fun. Anytime you can put Legos and Star Wars together, you got me, whether it's a show, the shorts, a game. I'm all over it.
I love it because it looks like they're going to poke fun at the original
hard
to watch Star Wars Holiday Special, but at the same time have some fun with some of the more modern characters, some of the newer characters, and tell a different story at the same time. And it just looks fun, as all the Lego stuff is.
Right, exactly.
So very excited for it as well.
Yeah, so those were my top 5 things. Like I said, with there's some other things that have been talked about that probably would have made the top 5 list, but I think because it's still a to be determined kind of if or when, then I didn't include them.
Right. I get it. So a couple of things that I'm know are coming that I'm looking forward to that you didn't list. It's a great list, by the way, Michelle.
Thank you.
List, always the best list. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we know has been filming, and they should be pretty close, if not ready to go with that at some point next year. Very excited for that one. What If, which I don't think you were unfortunately, that was the day with poor Michelle, poor awful day where she had food poisoning and she couldn't attend the Disney
couldn't get out of bed. Yeah.
Portion of the D23 Expo. They showed a little clip from What If, which is an animated series that's going to look at what if something different happened along the timeline. It's alternate timelines within the Marvel universe. And they got the voices of all the people that played these characters within the films and whatever. It looks great. I'm all about alternative timelines just for fun. And so that's what the What If is about. What if, what can I think of her name? Agent Carter, Peggy Carter. What if she was actually Captain America, or she had gotten the super soldier serum, and that's just one of them. But there's a lot of other ones that are out there that's going to be fascinating to delve into and be interesting.
Right. I know that when you were telling me about it, at first I was like, I wondered if it was going to end up being kind of like Once Upon a Time, which I did enjoy, but there were it seemed to be heavily dark in some of the characters that we love turning to be really evil. And they did have some, like they had the evil queen end up being good.
Right.
But I was concerned it was going to be something like that. But as you described more what they were doing with it, it sounded more like, that's very intriguing, and I'm using that word a lot in this episode.
Because they are very intriguing.
I need to come up with more vocabulary, but...
Become a walking thesaurus.
I know. But
how dare you call me a thesaurus?
I know. I thought about that. I was also thinking about the new episode of Mandalorian, which I won't give anything away, but maybe I need some assistance with verbiage. This that they do up there.
Yep.
But anyways, I digress. So it does sound like it's going to be a lot of fun, that it really seems more creative in kind of having different roles.
Yeah. And I think they're going to be self-contained episodes. It's not going to be a continuing storyline or anything. It's just going to be every week or every time an episode drops. It's what if this happened?
Right.
It's just a glimpse at a different timeline that happened. The Cassian Andor series, which we're still, I don't know how much they're into development of that yet, but looking forward to that very much. And so hopefully that drops sometime next year. Don't know for sure or not. Kenobi, I've heard they're going to start filming in March. I don't think that's going to end up dropping till 2022, but I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to hearing what's going to be going on with that. Monsters at Work, which is the animated series based on Monsters, Inc.
Right.
And, that looked, when some of the stuff, again, unfortunately, Michelle couldn't have been there for that. Some of the stuff we saw at the D23 Expo on that looked kind of cool. So that's, I think, most of the stuff that you didn't name that I'm looking forward to coming up in year 2.
Yay! Can't wait.
Yeah.
So I have a question. If you were going to be trying out for something, what would you think you would be able to get a part in?
I would hope it's Kenobi.
Actually, that's where I would have pegged you too.
Because me and Obi-Wan, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi, so I would love to be part. And
you look great dressing up as Obi-Wan for sure.
When that I had going back, and some of you may have not listened to those episodes back a year ago. When that news, and Michelle would have laughed because she would have been there. She would have when. I had forgotten that there were rumors that was going to happen. And, they had wrapped up a lot of the talking about the new Star Wars series, The Mandalorian, the Cassian Andor series, all that stuff at the Disney Plus
Expo.
D23 Expo, the Disney Plus
presentation.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I had forgotten. They're like, one more thing. And then Ewan McGregor walked out on stage, and at that moment I remembered. And I was a puddle. I couldn't believe it, And then he announced, "Yes, we are doing this," and I was so excited. So I am so excited for that. So, what about you? What would you see yourself in?
Well, I actually think if they needed a stand-in in The Mandalorian, I could be what's her name? Peli Motto.
Yeah.
little bit of grit, a little bit of motherly love kind of thing.
You love her too.
She's hilarious.
Yeah, she's great. She is an excellent character.
I like that she can also play poker.
Or sabacc.
Yes, but
well,
I mean
poker.
Poker. Yeah, I mean, I
Star
guess
Wars
a betting game kind
right.
of thing. But yeah.
And so can Michelle, by the way. You do not want to sit across a poker table with Michelle because you see this little cute package here. Everybody falls for that. Everybody, she smiles at you and laughs as she takes your money. Just so you know.
I've had some lucky games.
No,
from time
you were
to time.
good. You were really good, and everybody underestimates you, which makes you that much more ready to just rip their hearts out. It's great.
Oh, funny. I could see both of us doing WandaVision. I think the type of characters that those two could play, I think we could pull those off for sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm so excited for WandaVision.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear when that's coming out. We should be getting an announcement on that very soon, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. So anything else on that? First couple years of Disney Plus?
Yeah. No, I think that's about it. I mean, we could go on and on. There's just so much great things that have been on there. There's, the historical content up there of, the catalog of movies that came out. I love how they continue to add things, that they didn't just flood everything with all of their content, that they've rolled it out. I think that's been a lot of fun. The ease of being able to do searches. I love how even like I think has been one of the most easy to use collection is Disney Through the Decades. Whether it's been looking things up or, for some of our episodes or whatever, or just like, hey, I want to see something, where was the company doing movies back in the 60s or whatever. And it's kind of fun doing it that way. So I think if you're just looking at the, the homepage, you might forget or miss some things. So that I do think going back to some of the searches really helps remind you of some, whether it's new content that is maybe not as famous as The Mandalorian, some of the things that like we heard about with the Three Caballeros and some of the continuations of some of those kind of characters. And I think those are all wonderful and shouldn't be missed.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of stuff out there, by the way. If you just look at the front page or even some of the side pages for the different categories, there's still plenty of stuff in there that it doesn't show up right away. So do searches for things, and you never know what you might come up with that you've never seen before and you might enjoy.
Exactly. So
that can be an
I just
early
hope
tip,
they don't take things away, because there might be things that.
If there's something you love, download it, because they said, or at least early on, that if you've downloaded it, they won't, it'll still be there for you. So
nice, okay.
Do that.
I'll make my list for you.
Don't hold me to that, because I don't know if they'll stick with that. But originally, that's what they said was going to happen. That if they haven't really taken, as far as I know, they haven't taken anything away. But if they do, download it first, and then hopefully you won't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's it for our look back at year one of Disney Plus and our look ahead. We'd love to know still, even if you, and we appreciate all the listener input we got. If there's some other things that you enjoyed watching in year one of Disney Plus or are looking forward to in year two, please hit us up and we'll share them on an upcoming show. I still can't believe 1 year of Disney Plus. Where would we be without Disney Plus in this bizarre year that we've been in? But thank goodness it's been there for us. We've gotten so much great joy out of Disney Plus. So happy birthday, Disney Plus.
Yay. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, where would we have been this year? It would have been a tough year. It is a tough year, but
would have been even tougher.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's quickly get to the Disney stories of the week. I don't have much for you. There's some other thing going on, so there wasn't really much breaking this week, but I do have one story for you, and that is we now know when you'll have the chance to do a little holiday shopping and dining at the Disney California Adventure Park. Right. This from the Disney Parks blog. They say, we're excited to share that Buena Vista Street opens on November 19th. 19th.
Yay.
Extending the downtown Disney district at the Disneyland Resort with more Disney shopping and dining experiences. Discover new returning favorite menu items, plus holiday gifts and apparel. And stay tuned for more holiday happenings. That's interesting.
Yes.
It's interesting to hear, as it is. There was one more thing on this that wasn't announced earlier that's interesting that I found out about as going through this message. So,
ooh, yeah. Can't wait.
So here's a peek at what you can expect beginning on November 19th. Carth, we talked about this already. Carthay Circle Restaurant is introducing Carthay Circle Lounge Alfresco Dining. Nice. So kind of more outdoor type of thing, kind of extending the lounge out. A new outdoor dining environment and menu featuring Mediterranean California light fare with small plates that can be shared or enjoyed separately at the Carthay Circle Lounge. The seasonal menu, created by chefs Andrew Sutton and Alex Flores, will feature the Carthay shrimp roll, harissa roasted lamb, soy glazed salmon, lemon crusted fish of the day, and an artisan cheese board. We love their cheese board. Yes. Their cheese board is really good there. Kids will find menu options just for them, including, I've never been able to say this pasta right. Orecchiette or orecchiette pasta. I know that's completely wrong. So it's funny, you know.
How do you spell it?
Orecchiette.
Ah, okay,
yeah. Now you can understand why I have problems with that pasta. Never been able to say it right. I've used it many times, but always struggle with it. Anyway, that pasta with marinara and Orange Dragon chicken skewers. You can also, they say you can relax and step back in time at this throwback venue that boasts distinct attention to detail, unwind with flavorful international fare, and a glass of wine, craft beer, or a cool cocktail. They have great cocktails there. Enjoying expanded outdoor seating and amazing views of Buena Vista Street. So that's really cool. And I wish we were getting up there to go check that out.
I know. 2 days after watching the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. But yeah, I think I could see how they could make that happen, because when they've done, like the parades and you can have the dining package, they do have the tables set up outside there. So they already have that venue kind of already easy to make into an alfresco or, outdoor dining. So I think that's awesome. And I know, everybody here in Southern Cal especially is really dying to get more and more of Downtown Disney. And I know that's not part of Downtown Disney. That's actually California Adventure Park. So having more experiences to be able to enjoy Disney.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I don't know. We're not going to be able to get up there for it. At least not don't see it right now. But it's great news. So some other things that came out in this story. On another corner, you can stop by Fiddler, Pfeiffer, and Practical Cafe for a yummy hot chocolate and a cranberry orange scone. That sounds delicious. Or place your mobile order for, and this was the one that I had not heard was going to be open before, but it came out in this story. Corn dogs or soft drinks at Award Wieners.
Woo!
Yeah, so they're kind of going down the other branch. We already heard that Smoke Jumpers Grill is open, kind of down just the other way, down halfway down that street, kind of in the Hollywood Land area there. That's going to be open as well, so that's kind of cool. You also, of course, we know you can go to Smoke Jumpers Grill, serving bacon cheeseburger, chicken tenders, onion rings, waffle fries, kids meals, and vanilla and chocolate shakes. So that's good.
And we've said that's, kind of an underrated place that a lot of people don't think about. They already had outdoor dining set up there. So I think it's a great fit. Yeah. And looking forward to eventually getting there.
Right. If you just want a good burger, some onion rings, it's a good place to go.
Yes.
Finally, along Buena Vista Street, Disney Magic brings a nostalgic throwback to the 1920s and the 30s. The boulevard depicts a typical Los Angeles neighborhood where a young Walt Disney lived and worked after arriving in Southern California in 1923. This idyllic setting captures the quaint mom and pop shops, very much quotations there, mom and pop shops of the time, and a big city department store including Elias and Company, Julius Katz and Sons, Kingswell Camera Shop, and Trolley Treats, where you can find unique Disney apparel and gifts. So if you want to do a little holiday shopping, there you go. Some spots for you there.
Those are fun shops we've gone through. And like they're talking about, they have the statue there of young Walt, when he first arrived to to Southern California and everything. So I think, it's just going to be great to be able to experience a little bit more, feel like you're getting there, you're making progress. I think it also be kind of tug at your heart kind of thing that you can't go into other things, but at
least you can get a touch of it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering the fact that they announced and there's some other things upcoming. Knott's Berry Farm, who's not that far away, is doing kind of a food festival type thing. I'm wondering if eventually, as they see how this goes, if as we move into the holidays, there may be like a small festival of the holidays, or something where they extend it a little farther.
Yeah, they could go out there because they could still not be necessarily have attractions open and just kind of go past that.
Haven't heard anything about that. Don't know. And just speculation purely on our part, but it wouldn't shock me if something like that were to happen and would open up, were to be announced within the next week or so.
Right.
So that's it for the Disney stories of the week. However, we never leave you without giving you some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And when we do this, we always start with Michelle because she's wonderful, fantastic. She does great research. She does wonderful lists, and she always has the very best tip. So let's get right to it. Here's Michelle's tip of the week. What do you say, Baby Yoda?
Okay.
He's happy his mom is
happy. Maybe he needs to get ready for a nap, though. Well, first of all, thank you. You're very kind. And whoa.
You heard the nap word.
Yeah.
Taking a nap.
So if you're a Disney Visa card holder, you probably have heard that right now the character meet and greets. Wow.
I can't wait till this.
The child is really getting excited. The meet and greets at Walt Disney World are currently unable to be done, but they've actually provided an alternative benefit that I thought was really cute.
Speaking of really cute,
I'm looking at you. So they at Epcot, which is the spot is right near Figment. What's it called? Journey to the Imagination with Figment. They have a station there, and that's where you used to go and be able to meet a character and get some pictures and everything. So you can still go there and have a photo op, and they'll digitally add characters for you on that regards. And that's daily from 1 to 7 p.m. And similarly over at Disney Hollywood Studios, you used to be able to go meet some Star Wars characters. So they also have something very similar at the launch bay. By Animation Courtyard. And again, you can go get some pictures taken, and they will digitally impose some Star Wars characters. So it's not the same as getting to meet the characters, but you can still get a little touch of magic with your Disney Visa card if you have that and you've been missing out. Know that they are trying to provide you some additional benefit.
Yeah, so. And since that was something you looked forward to when you had the I think it's Chase, the Disney Chase Visa, is those little perks of being able to meet those characters, special meet and greets, and the fact that there are no meet and greets right now. It's it's not perfect, but it's a decent alternative for sure.
Right. So the Star Wars one goes from 11 to 4 daily. So my tip is just take advantage of things, even if it's not exactly what we had. It's still something that can be fun. You can still leave with a memory of something, and we know, we'll eventually get back to being able to actually meet the characters. But until then, it's still a fun thing to take part in.
For sure. So Michelle's tips, always the best tips. My tip this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Walt Disney World Resort during this time period that we're in right now as well. And one of the things we love about Walt Disney World is that they have these wonderful queues for these attractions that are so amazing. And part of the reason why they've tricked out their queues for their attractions so much is because, in Florida, the weather can be a little tricky. It can be either really hot and humid, or it could be really rainy, or it could be both. So, a lot of times you're trying to get the guests as much as they can out of those elements and into these queues. And they, since you're going to be spending more time inside and doing these things, they provide you much more interesting queues in general at the Walt Disney World Resort. However, during these crazy times we're living in now with physical distancing as a huge part of being in these parks. Well, a lot of times you're lining up for a long time before you actually reach those queues, which means you're going to be out in the elements more often. So, I'm just going to remind you of that when you go out there to take that into account. Be sure before you leave your resort or your house or wherever you're coming from to, look at the weather report for that day and be sure you're dressed accordingly for it. Know what's going on. Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be humid? Is it going to be raining? Is it going to be cold? We're actually getting into the time when it can be cold out there coming up within the next few months. So check that out. And then make sure you have the equipment for it. Bring an umbrella. Now, you probably should be doing that anyways when you're at the Walt Disney World Resort. But especially during this time, even if it doesn't look like it's going to rain at all.
Or ponchos.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about that too. But I'm just talking about, yes, for rain, for sure, the umbrella. But even if you're standing out there in the sun, an umbrella can be very helpful to kind of give you some shade because they're not going to have those shady parts necessarily for you as you're lined up. But yeah, of course, for the rain, be sure and bring that. Bring a poncho if you have it, or a rain jacket or whatever. Make sure you have that with you. Sunscreen, you should be bringing sunscreen anyway, but you may need it even more if you're going to be standing out in the sun. Somewhere. Basically, just be prepared. Bring anything you might need if you think you might be standing outside for more than you normally would when you're visiting these attractions, which, let's face it, now more than any time if you're going to those parks, your trips are probably going to be more attraction heavy. There are fewer shows going on. There's no parades. There's no nighttime spectaculars. Dining is at a premium a little bit more right now. There's not as many options available to you. So you're probably attraction heavy. So you may be waiting in these queues more often.
Right. And something to go along with that line that we've talked about in the past too is having some little activities that the kids can, be entertained with as they wait, because it may seem much longer for them. And, as you always said, hydration. So having water there so that, you can keep hydrated when you're out there in the elements.
Just remember, mask down, sip, mask right back up. If you're going to be hydrating when you're in those queues, do that. And take your breaks during the day when you're not in there, and find those places, those respite zones where you can take your mask off for a little bit. The kids can settle down for a little bit, get a little rest, get some water, get a little snack in, whatever. So that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to be looking at some of the more, quote, bare bones Disney resorts. We'll be exploring the budget resorts. Better yet, I think Michelle, and I think mostly Michelle, will be telling you how to get the most out of them. Again, it's going to be another great research thing for Michelle to go through, because she's so great with her research. We've both done the budget resorts.
I was just going to say,
we both have enjoyed our time, and even though a lot of times now, especially with DVC, we do more upscale stuff. We find the Disney budget resorts to be a lot of fun and have some really good aspects to them. And again, both of us, but mostly Michelle, are going to discuss a lot of that with you guys next week.
And hopefully if you haven't stayed at a budget resort at Walt Disney World, hopefully we can give you some pointers on that if you're thinking about it. And if you all have some things you want to share, we'll be glad to present that and give you full credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know when you're staying at the budget resorts, what you like to do, how you like to use them, and what's your favorite budget resort to stay at, of those that are out there that exist. So we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
you'll want to sign up for the newsletter.
Please sign up for the newsletter. As you saw, we got lots of input this week from people who have subscribed to the newsletter. It's just another way to kind of stay in our Hyperion Adventures world and just kind of get more info out there. And we hope that you will sign up and join along. And again, we do not clog your inbox with a lot of stuff. It's just one newsletter every week. And we also don't
share that email address with anybody.
Nope, it's just for us to use. So also, please follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Check out our episodes on YouTube as well. If you want to find us there, just do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast, hit subscribe, and you'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to connect with us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Right, and don't hesitate to give feedback, whether it's through an email or, better yet, a review or rating. We certainly appreciate your feedback, because we want to make this an enjoyable podcast for all of you.
Yes, and if you give us a review, we will, just like we did, I think it was last week, we will read it on the air. And also, when we get to our Hyperion Adventures Disney Hall of Fame final ballot, looking for that gift basket, those that have given us a review that also vote on there will have an extra chance to win.
Yeah.
So if you haven't given us a review yet, you may want to do that if you're looking to win some of this stuff, and we'll talk about more about that as we progress.
Exactly.
That's it for this week. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.
Bye.